After escaping from the Jiang family, I collapsed on the ground. When I woke up again, I found myself in a hospital room.
Alex, how could you be so reckless? Do you know how fragile your health is? How could you run off on your own?
I looked at my mother, who was quietly crying, and my father, whose eyes were filled with pain. Fear surged from deep within me. These people were my biological parents, yet they were also the source of my deepest fears.
Alex, you need to understand the gravity of your actions. We brought you back to give you a better life.
I was the lost child of the Jiang family, only brought back home by my parents a year ago. I had thought that the joy of family reunion and happiness would finally be mine. But reality was far from it.
Mom, Dad, I want to leave the Jiang family.
Hearing this, my mother cried even louder.
What did you say? Say it again.
The slap left me stunned, and it took a while before I regained my senses.
I said, I want to leave the Jiang family. Please, let me go.
How did you become so ungrateful and disrespectful? Can't you see how much your mother is crying? How dare you say such a thing?
Ungrateful and disrespectful. I used to be a dutiful and respectful child. Whatever they wanted me to do, I did. But in the end, what did I get?
No matter what I did, I couldn't hold your attention. Michael didn't have to do anything to earn your love. Dad, Mom, I'm fading away.
My father's face showed disdain, his words were sharp. My mother continued to cry quietly, her tears a testament to the fractured life we were living. I still couldn't escape the Jiang family. Mother cried and scolded me for being unfilial. Father sent people to forcibly carry me back home from the hospital.
Alex, welcome home.
Michael stood in front of the villa, smiling gently at me. Seeing Michael, Mother's eyes filled with affection, her face soft and tender.
Michael, why are you back?
Even the usually stern father was all smiles, concerned about whether Michael had encountered any trouble outside.
Michael, any trouble on your way back?
I watched their happy family of 3, feeling like an outsider who didn't belong. I laughed at myself, feeling a heavy oppression in my heart.
Alex, the Jiang family is very wealthy, isn't it?
Hearing Michael's voice, I couldn't help but tremble all over. He chuckled softly, sounding so jarring in the darkness.
I know you don't like me. You think I stole our parents' love and that your current situation is my fault. I can only say I'm very sorry. Rest assured, this time I've come back to move out. From now on, you can have a good relationship with Mom and Dad. They will love you.
At the dinner table, Michael indeed did as he said. After just a few bites, he proposed to our parents that he wanted to move out. But as soon as he spoke, our parents put down their chopsticks in worry.
Why the sudden thought of moving out?
Michael looked at me apologetically, then helplessly at our parents.
Mom, Dad, after all, I'm not your biological child. You've raised me until now, and that's already more than enough. Now that Alex is back, how can I selfishly continue to take his place?
Hearing Michael's words, Mother hurriedly spoke up.
What are you saying, Michael? In Mom's heart, you are her own child.
Then, Mother looked at me with tears in her eyes.
Alex, I know you must think that we love Michael more. But actually, we just don't know how to love you, nor how to get along with you, given your peculiar nature.
Mother's words brought a bitter taste to my heart. Do they really not know how to love a child? They just gave all their love to Michael. And my nature isn't peculiar. It's just that my lack of love since childhood made me cautious and observant. I could keenly sense their impatience with me, which made me become less talkative. Moreover, how could they forget that my increasingly peculiar nature was because I could hardly leave the house? And the reason I couldn't leave the house was to help Michael sustain his life.
Mom! Dad! Since you can't love me, why did you bring me back home in the first place?
I finally couldn't hold back and laughed through my tears. The saying goes that men don't cry easily, but that's only because they haven't reached the point of heartbreak. Mother stopped crying and stood up, somewhat flustered.
Alex, how could you think that of us? You are our biological son. How could we not love you?
Her voice was much louder than usual, which only made her seem more guilty.
Mom, Dad, please let me go. My time is really running out.
I weakly stood up from the chair and, looking at Michael, gave a nonchalant smile.
If you don't want to move out, then don't talk about it. As a man, don't act like a manipulative woman.
I turned and walked upstairs, with Father's angry voice following me.
You ungrateful child! How dare you speak like that?
My health was deteriorating day by day, and I even started coughing up blood. But my parents didn't know that. Nowadays, they were more concerned about whether Michael could become the youngest best actor. This had always been Michael's dream, and whether it could come true depended on today's results. In the end, Michael did not disappoint and became the youngest best actor in history. I coughed up more blood, the bright red contrasting starkly with my pale, sickly hands. I smiled, looking out at the gloomy sky. Suddenly, the idea of passing away didn't seem so bad. There was a commotion downstairs, and soon it reached my bedroom door.
Master Lu, thank you for coming again.
Mother cautiously led Master Lu into my room, followed by the newly crowned best actor, Michael. I was not unfamiliar with Master Lu, he was the one who had used my life to extend Michael's. He was still dressed in his black robe, looking at me with cold eyes.
Didn't I tell you not to step outside the house? If you don't believe me, why call me again?
Master Lu seemed unwilling to help. Seeing his attitude, Mother became anxious. She kept saying nice things and even raised the price continuously, just to save my life. Her humble demeanor was just like when she had saved Michael's life. My mind went blank for a moment, and I realized that Mother did love me too. Perhaps because of this small amount of familial love, I chose to trust Master Lu in the end. Master Lu stayed at our house for 5 days and finally managed to alter my fate. I felt something flowing within me, a sense of hope for life. I stood outside Michael's room, wanting to thank him because it was thanks to him that Master Lu had come. Just as I was about to knock, I heard an argument from inside.
Isn't it because you left a flaw when you altered my fate last time? How dare you ask for more now?
Young Master Michael, isn't it because you were too greedy and absorbed double the fortune from the true young master?
It turns out that Alex's fortune was borrowed by Michael. Due to Michael's greed, what could have been a 10-year borrowing was nearly exhausted within a year. The so-called attempt to change Alex's fate was merely transferring his parents' fortune to him. But in the end, Michael took that fortune. Alex, seeking answers, finds a renowned master.
Master, what should I do?
Choose the same path as him, surpass him, and defeat him. But whether you can do it depends entirely on your own destiny.
Master, I have one more question. Am I really their biological son?
The reason they treat you this way is also related to your fortune being taken.
With the master's words in mind, Alex entered the entertainment industry. To boost his fame, he asked his agent to arrange a meeting with Director Wu. If he could secure the role of the second male lead in Director Wu's project, his fame would increase exponentially. At the dinner table, Alex felt a sense of crisis when he saw another person.
Alex, long time no see.
Michael greeted Alex with a smile that sent chills down his spine. Alex was extremely cautious throughout the dinner, and nothing unusual happened until it ended. Could it be that he was overthinking? Just as Alex was about to get into the car, he suddenly felt dizzy and lost consciousness. When he woke up, his whole body was in pain. Seeing his body under the blanket, with even some red marks, he was horrified and sat up abruptly.
You're awake.
Director Wu was at the tea table, smoking leisurely.
The role of the second male lead could have been yours, but I was very dissatisfied last night. If you agree to serve me one more night, I'll give you the role. How about it?
In your dreams.
Alex hastily dressed and fled. As he was leaving, Director Wu spoke again.
Don't mention today's incident to anyone, or if these photos get out, you know the consequences.
Alex clenched his fists tightly, barely restraining the urge to hit Director Wu. He knew that if he used the Jiang family's influence, no one would dare to bully him like this. If he used the Jiang family's influence, it would be effortless to make Director Wu pay. But he couldn't. When his parents found out he was entering the entertainment industry, they were furious and wanted to disown him. They thought he was doing it to make things difficult for Michael by choosing the same path as him.
Alex, I regret giving birth to you.
Alex, since you are ungrateful, don't blame me for not caring about you as a son. Don't use the Jiang family's influence in the entertainment industry from now on.
How ridiculous. Clearly, Alex is their son. But they abandoned him for a foster son who had taken his place for years. My career was gradually improving, and my reputation was growing. However, compared to Michael, I was at best a third-tier celebrity. Just as the backlash began, it seemed like fate started to favor me a bit. Thanks to a director's masterpiece, Towards the Sky, I suddenly became a sensation. My status in the entertainment industry was now comparable to Michael's, perhaps even surpassing his. My physical condition began to improve, and all signs of the backlash disappeared. Everything was getting better.
Alex, Mother watched your movie. It was really, really good. Do you have time to come home for dinner tonight?
Your father and I were wrong. You are our biological son, yet we treated you so poorly. We're sorry. Can you forgive us?
I held my phone tightly, feeling a bit emotional. Had I finally defeated Michael? Was that why my parents were no longer influenced by the borrowed luck and started to pay attention to me? When I got home, the care and concern from my parents were something I had never experienced before. During this warm moment, Michael returned. His face was full of anger, and his aura seemed diminished. Normally, when he appeared, my parents' eyes would only be on him. But today was different. Even with his presence, my parents only asked him a brief question before continuing to care for me. I felt a bit uneasy, this feeling seemed unreal. But I also knew that all of this was real, the result of my enduring humiliation and hardship.
Alex, do you think you can rest easy now?
Alex, you've thoroughly angered me. Can you really bear the consequences of provoking me?
His words made me break out in a cold sweat. Suddenly, a storm erupted online, quickly becoming the top trending topic. The photos and videos showed me in compromising situations with director Wu. The internet was filled with accusations against me. They said I sold myself for roles. They said I clung to wealthy patrons just to get ahead. In just one night, my parents' attitude towards me reverted to how it was before.
All you do is cause trouble. It seems it was right not to reveal your identity back then. Otherwise, how would the Jiang family's reputation survive?
Yes, even though I was brought back to the Jiang family, my identity was never made public. Even when family friends visited, Father would only introduce me as a relative's child. Later, Father explained that the Jiang family's business was at a critical juncture, and he didn't want family matters to affect the company. So, I had to endure for a while. But the Jiang family's business thrived, and my identity was still not disclosed.
It's a good thing we didn't reveal it. I never imagined that my biological son was always by my side. Michael is my real son, and you are just an imposter.
Alex, you are just like your biological parents, willing to do anything to achieve your goals, greedy for vanity.
Biological parents? Narrator, tone, serious. I found myself struggling to understand such a simple statement. Mother let out a light scoff.
Mother, tone, unfriendly. Do you still want to act, Alex? Don't think for a moment that we are unaware of your true identity.
Narrator, tone, serious. She threw the documents on the table at me. Confused, I picked them up from the floor. When I saw the so-called paternity test, I was stunned.
Alex, tone, terrified this. How could it be? How could I not be their biological son?
Narrator, tone, serious. Even Master Lu had said that I was indeed their biological child. But now, why have I become Michael's parent's son? And Michael has truly become the biological child of my birth parents? What on earth is going on?
Mother, tone, angry. If it weren't for Michael's magnanimity, feeling sorry for you being homeless and allowing us to continue raising you, I would have kicked you out of the Jiang family long ago. Mother, tone, shouting no, I would have sent you to prison.
Narrator, tone, sad. My ears were ringing, and it felt like my world was collapsing. They locked me up.
Father, tone, serious. Since you want to be the young master of the Jiang family, I'll give you that chance, Alex. From now on, we'll provide you with good food and drink, but...
Narrator, tone, serious. But I was confined to a dog cage, and the food and drink were all filthy leftovers. Narrator, tone, sad. The next time I saw Michael was on our birthday. He still looked glamorous, every bit the young master of a wealthy family. And I, reeking of filth, was living a life worse than that of a pig or dog.
Michael, tone, cheerful Alex, life in the dog cage must be unbearable, right? I'm really sorry. Mother and father just love me too much and are afraid you might harm me.
Narrator, tone, sad. He looked at me with a triumphant gaze.
Michael, tone, cheerful. Today is your birthday too. I wanted to celebrate with you, but mother and father wouldn't allow it. They said you don't deserve it. I'm sorry, Alex, there's nothing I can do to help you.
Narrator, tone, sad. Every word Michael said was filled with apology, yet each one pierced my heart. Narrator, tone, sad. The villa was brightly lit, filled with laughter and joy. After all, it was the young master of the Jiang family's birthday party, and many people had come to attend. Narrator, tone, sad. The sky began to rain, and it grew heavier. Perhaps the servants were too busy and forgot to cover me from the rain. I was drenched, looking even more miserable. Narrator, tone, sad. I looked up at the dark sky, feeling a deep sense of desolation. If I had known my fate would be like this, would I have still been overjoyed to follow my birth parents home that day?
Stranger, tone, curious. Are you the son Mr. Jiang secretly acknowledged?
A girl squatted in front of Alex, holding an umbrella.
You look a lot like Mrs. Jiang, much more than Michael does. But why did Mr. Jiang say you're the imposter?
Her words felt like a slap in the face. Even outsiders could see the resemblance between Mother and Alex. Yet, his biological parents chose to ignore this fact, relying solely on that so-called DNA test. The next day, they let him out of the dog cage and allowed him to stay in his old room again. The girl came to see him once more.
Now that you're all cleaned up, you do resemble Mr. Jiang quite a bit. How could you possibly be an imposter? Alex, it seems you've been set up.
Her familiarity made Alex uncomfortable, but her words hit the mark. Thinking back, it was clear he had been manipulated. Despite his striking resemblance to his parents and even the renowned master's confirmation of their blood relation, the DNA test claimed otherwise. If this wasn't a setup, what was it? The girl left, promising to visit again. After she left, his parents came to his room.
Did you say anything you shouldn't have to her? They looked at him coldly. He shook his head.
Humph. Don't think that just because you know someone from the Yen family, we won't do anything to you.
Alex, remember, our willingness to overlook past grievances and take you back is the greatest gift you could receive. Whatever schemes you have, you'd better drop them.
Alex bit his lip and remained silent, knowing that anything he said would be wrong. He felt his life slipping away rapidly, filling him with anxiety. Remembering Master Lu's words, if he couldn't reclaim his fortune, his biological parents would also be in danger. He still longed for their love and affection. He couldn't help but wonder, if Michael hadn't stolen his fortune and influenced his parents, would they have loved and protected him as they did Michael? The girl came to see Alex again, and this time, he learned she was Emily, the daughter of the prestigious Yin family in the capital.
Alex, aren't you angry that someone else has taken your place? Don't you want to reclaim what's rightfully yours?
Of course, I want to take back everything that belongs to me. But I have tried and failed.
Alex, let me help you. If I help you, you'll definitely get back what you want.
Alex's heart trembled, and even his fingers visibly shook. He knew he shouldn't trust anyone easily, but his intuition told him he should believe this girl.
Can you really help me?
Yes.
Seeing the determination in her eyes, Alex felt hope once more. He handed her the evidence he had gathered. It included proof of Michael's unscrupulous actions in the entertainment industry and evidence of his own framing. Emily took the evidence seriously, hid it carefully, and left with her driver. She said this matter was extraordinary and that she needed her father's help. She assured Alex she could help him. She told him to wait for her to come back. But he never saw her again. Father burst into Alex's room, furious, and slapped him hard.
It's all your fault. If it weren't for you, Miss Yen wouldn't have had that accident. If the Yen family seeks retribution, you'll bear the consequences alone. Don't drag the Jiang family down with you. You wanted to leave the Jiang family, right? I'll grant your wish today. Someone throw him out.
The servants threw Alex out in front of the villa. The news of Emily's passing lingered in his mind. How could she be gone? She had promised to come back for him. His mind went blank, and he felt suffocated. Was it the news of her passing or the collapse of his last hope?
Emily, you liar. How could you leave? You said you would help me. Did you use this as an excuse to avoid helping me? I won't ask for your help anymore. Can you come back? Can you not be gone?
Tisk, you've been thrown out. How pitiful. Although I wanted you gone too, now is clearly not the right time. In the dimly lit basement, the echoes from the villa's first floor were all too clear. Michael had locked me in, and he took it upon himself to bring me meals daily.
You won't perish here, Alex, but don't even think about escaping.
Emily's father arrived at the Jiang family home, demanding to know my whereabouts.
I'm here to find Alex.
He no longer lives with us. We don't know where he went. Please, don't hold our family accountable for his actions. He isn't our child.
Michael's voice dripped with a certain noble air when he spoke to me later.
Even if you were born to them, you're still an outcast, aren't you?
You tampered with that paternity test, didn't you?
Michael's silence was his answer. But during dinner, he suddenly brought up our parents.
Mom, Dad, the hospital called. They said the paternity test was accidentally switched by an intern. I'm not your child, Alex is.
A heavy silence fell over the villa. After a long pause, I heard Father's sigh.
Michael, no matter what, you are our child. We won't abandon you.
As for Alex, although I gave birth to him, he wasn't raised with us, and we have no emotional bond with him. Since he returned, we've faced several upheavals. This shows he is incompatible with our family. In our hearts, you are our only son.
Their words pierced my heart. I had always imagined how happy I would be once I found my biological parents. They always favored Michael, their adopted son. I consoled myself not to be jealous, as he had been with them for years in my place. I still hoped that if I reclaimed my fortune, my parents might love me. Even if the stolen fortune made them love Michael more, perhaps they would have some affection for me when they learned I was their real son. In the basement, time blurred. Michael often taunted me, and I moved from despondency to numbness. My body deteriorated, and I slept more and more. Then, one day, a sharp, prolonged pain in my heart nearly ended me.
Mom, you need to take better care of yourself. I'll find a way to help Dad.
The basement light suddenly flickered on, casting eerie shadows on the cold concrete walls.
I just borrowed a bit of your luck, and you caused Dad to have an accident. Alex, you're truly useless.
Michael walked over with a grim expression and took out a knife. He made a cut on Alex's arm, soon filling a cup with his blood.
I really don't know what Emily saw in you. Even when I warned her to stay out of it, she still decided to help you. TSK, in the end, it's truly pitiful.
It was you? You caused her harm?
How could it be me who harmed her? Shouldn't it be you? If she hadn't wanted to help you, why would I have created an accident for her?
You beast! I'll end you! I'll end you!
Alex trembled as he stood up, but before he could reach Michael, he was pushed back to the ground.
With you? Have you forgotten how useless you are?
Alex lay on the ground in disgrace, cursing his weak body and the unfairness of fate. She was such a kind girl. Why did she have to leave so soon? And those wicked people, they live so freely. Why?
Ah! Whispering, it was all my fault. If I had just refused Emily from the start, if I had remained indifferent to her, would she still be alive? Would she still be living well?
Alex began to force himself to stand more steadily. From initially gasping for breath while walking, he gradually managed to do some simple exercises. His body slowly started to recover, though only slightly. Every day, Michael would draw a cup of blood from Alex. To speed up his recovery, Alex started making specific food requests.
Oh, you want special food now? Fine. But don't think it'll save you.
Fortunately, Michael agreed. Father woke up, but his brain had suffered severe damage, making it impossible for him to fully concentrate. The burden of the Jiang family's business fell entirely on Michael's shoulders, keeping him extremely busy. Later, he sent a servant to bring me meals. At first, the servant was indifferent to me, but over time, she began to tell me stories about the outside world. Eventually, she even started to fulfill some of my small requests. This time, I asked to borrow a phone from her.
Please, just for a little while.
Initially, she refused, but she couldn't resist my persistent pleading.
I didn't use it to call the authorities because I knew it would be futile. I had to seek justice in my own way. I started learning basic self-defense techniques online and reading revenge strategies. Now, everything was ready, I just needed the right moment.
It seems your life has been quite comfortable lately.
I opened my eyes to see Michael, looking even more gaunt. He elegantly rolled up his sleeves and then sat down on the sofa.
But my life is even better. Now the entire Jiang family belongs to me. Alex, what good is it that you were born into a privileged family? In the end, you couldn't hold on to anything.
It was as if he had come specifically to boast. After his display, he left immediately. But that very night, I felt a significant portion of my luck had vanished. I didn't know what he had done, but I heard commotion from the villa and learned that something had happened to Mother. I knew I couldn't wait any longer. I had to take action. I asked the servant who brought me meals to call him over. When I saw him this time, although he still appeared confident, there was noticeable fatigue in his eyes. He was clearly annoyed by my interruption.
What do you want?
If you didn't want me to return to the Jiang family, why did you initially provide them with clues about my whereabouts?
I saw Michael's mocking smile clearly. He rubbed his temples.
Do you think they have always pampered and loved me? They only treated me as your substitute. Just because you didn't like eating oranges, I got scolded for taking a bite. Just because you didn't like spicy food, I had to give it up. But why? Why should I be your replacement and not the one who replaces you?
He became increasingly agitated and eventually started hitting and kicking me. I curled up, protecting my head, the pain making me shrink into myself.
And what about Emily? Why didn't you try to take my place in her heart instead of choosing to harm her?
Her? She was an exception. Normally, since I borrowed your luck, it would be easy for me to take your place in anyone's heart. But with her, I failed every time. She only wanted to help you. Since I couldn't have her, I made it simple and ended her life. Oh, and you probably don't know this, but after the accident, she still had a chance to survive. She begged me to help her. But not only did I refuse to save her, I even hit her on the head with a brick. Just one blow, and she stopped breathing.
Listening to his confession, my chest filled with rage.
Michael, you monster! Today, I will avenge her!
A voice from the phone urged me not to act rashly, but I was already consumed by anger. I pulled out the knife I had hidden and stabbed him in the chest. He looked shocked, staggered back a few steps, and ran outside, shouting for help. Because of the knife in my hand, no one dared to approach me. I chased him into the villa. Mother, pushing father, saw me and looked surprised.
Alex, what are you doing here?
The atmosphere in the room was tense as Mother confronted me.
Why are you here?
Why? I never left.
Mother glanced at Michael, confusion evident in her eyes.
Michael, what's going on?
Mom, I just didn't want your biological son to be exposed. After all, he is your biological son.
Mother's eyes filled with tears, and she immediately moved to shield him.
Alex, how can you be so ungrateful? Are you trying to harm Michael now?
I looked at Mother sarcastically, then glanced at Michael, who was provoking me from behind her.
You're still the same as before. You believe whatever he says. If he truly cared about you, why would one of you be disabled and the other injured?
What do you mean?
Father looked puzzled but also stood protectively in front of Michael, watching me warily.
Don't you think something is off?
My parents were stunned, looking at me as if asking how I knew.
Michael has been taking my fortune all along. And now, Michael is not only absorbing my fortune but also yours.
Michael, is what Alex said true?
Michael, relying on the fact that I had no evidence, flatly denied it and even ordered the servants to stop me. Realizing my time was running out, I made a desperate move towards him. The knife ended up stabbing Mother. I froze, my hands trembling as I pulled the knife away.
Mom.
I wanted to move forward to hold her, but Mother had already fallen into Michael's arms.
Michael, don't be afraid. Mom will protect you. As long as I'm here, no one can hurt you. Alex, how could you be so cruel? How dare you harm my Michael? Alex, why are you still alive? Why didn't you disappear out there?
I looked at Mother in disbelief. She asked me why I didn't disappear out there. Mother started coughing violently, blood spilling from her mouth.
Mom, don't talk. I'll take you to the hospital.
Michael's face was completely panicked, and for the first time, I saw genuine emotion on his face.
Michael, quickly, call the police. Don't let him hurt you. Alex, if you dare harm Michael again, I won't forgive you even in the afterlife.
Mother passed away, and even in her final moments, she stared at me intently. The sound of police sirens came from outside, and the first to enter was Mr. Yen.
Hurry, you need to leave here.
I fled in despair, not to escape the law, but because I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe I had accidentally harmed my own mother. I ran to Emily's grave. On the tombstone was a girl with a bright, sunny smile. Seeing her smile, the turmoil in my heart gradually turned to calm.
Emily, I'm sorry. I have to break my promise. I harmed my mother with my own hands. No matter how you look at it, I have to turn myself in. Emily, I owe you a life. I'll repay you in the next life, okay?
Both Michael and I ended up incarcerated. Our fates remained intertwined in a strange way. He was sentenced to a severe penalty for a serious crime, to be carried out in 5 days. Although I was guilty of unintentional harm, it was still considered a serious offense. Likewise, I was also sentenced to a severe penalty in 5 days. That day, the sun was shining brightly, and a gentle breeze was blowing. I lifted my head slightly, feeling the breeze. Scenes from the past flashed before my eyes.
Alex, if I had another chance, I would harm you first.
Michael, if I had another chance, I would stay far away from you all.
If I hadn't returned to the family, Emily wouldn't have suffered for me. And I wouldn't have accidentally harmed my own mother. In a daze, I seemed to see Emily again. She was still so kind, yet so invincible. She waved at me happily, pointing at something in the distance. I responded with a smile, and with a loud bang, my world plunged into eternal darkness.